Hi everybody, today I'm going to talk about what is a fat fast and why does it work. My name is Anita, my channel is Ketogenic Woman, and this is where I show you guys how I've lost almost 150 pounds following an animal-based ketogenic diet. And I share with you some of these things that I have been learning along the way. And one of them is a tool called the Fat Fast. It shouldn't work, when you think about it. On paper, it just doesn't make sense. However, it has been around for a long time. So let's talk about what it is. It's a short-term strategy, a metabolic reset. It primes your body for running on fat rather than glucose. It has been around forever. People have been using it to break stalls since the 1970s, when Dr. Atkins devoted about 3 pages of it to the Fat Fast in his book. And he had a particular idea about how a fat fast should work. And so I'm going to talk about that and compare to how I do it myself and how I've seen other people do it. What does a fat fast look like in practical terms, when you're actually doing it? It can be 1 day, 2-3 days. I've seen people do it up to 5 days, maybe longer. I don't know. Myself personally, I do it for a day. I don't like being without protein for more than a day. So I do it for 1 day, but that's your call. But hear all the rest of it before you decide how many days you're going to do a fat fast. So the other thing is the calorie count. This is a question that comes up a lot. Dr. Atkins, he was adamant that it was between 1,000 and 1,200 calories per day on a fat fast. And he even gave little, mini meals. He wanted people to do 4 or 5 mini meals in the day, each of them being, 200 calories. Back then, when I used to do Atkins and I tried the fat fast, I never lasted more than a day either. I mean, it was kind of horrible. His food selections weren't great, and I knew nothing about why that would work or what combinations might be a better choice. I don't even know if he knew all the science behind it. He was quoting some other study. Let's see. The Kelwick Diet. It forces the body into lipolysis. So that's a good thing. That's what we want. Lipolysis is burning fat. So who knew that you could burn fat by eating nothing but fat? So for me, I think where his version didn't work for me was the low calories, and the little mini meals he suggested didn't make much sense, and there was too much protein. Right now, in today's times, like this was back in the 70s and 80s, in today's times, people do a fat fast a little different. And I like the 100% fat fast, not the protein mixed in with the fat. And I've measured my ketones and my blood glucose, during these different fasts, these different versions of the fat fast, and clearly the winner is 100% fat for me. That may not be for you. So he recommended 3 days, 1,000 to 1,200 calories a day. Some people do their TDEE. So my TDEE, total daily energy expenditure, I'll put a link how to calculate yours below, is about 1,850 calories. And so that seems to make a little more sense to shoot for that number. And then you have the Kelly Hogan factor. Kelly Hogan, when she does a fat fast, she doesn't count calories. I mean, she lets it go up into the over 3,000. I mean, she just eats fat to satiety. And that really works for her. The same with Sean Baker. I mean, those guys just, they eat the fat and they don't worry about the macros or the calories. They just go for it, and quite successfully. So there's your parameters, and I'm actually going to I don't know when, but I'm actually going to try on the lower calorie, and just to see what that feels like and to see what the results are. But I got good results. I had a Dr. Boz ratio in the 20s for about 3 days after I did 1 day of 100% fat fast, not worrying about calories, just eating things like butter bites, heavy cream, the Fat Fast ice cream. I did just do a video that shows what kind of foods I eat on a day that is pretty much pure fat. And so I will link that below, as well as some of my other Fat Fast videos. What sorts of foods can you eat on a day or 3 to 5 days that you're doing a fat fast? Things like butter and butter bites, tallow and tallow bites. I sometimes mix them, half tallow, half butter. Suet, cod livers, egg yolks, not the whites, just the egg yolks, heavy cream, beef fat trimmings, but be careful there, and pork fat trimmings, pork jowls. You want to have around 95% and above as calories from fat, and watch that protein. It's the lack of protein that seems to make this work the best, at least it does for me. And I'm going to get into more of that in a moment. So why do this fat fast? I think I kind of said, what the benefits are at the beginning. Your body quickly, if you're just putting nothing but fat in for that day, your body's like, whoa, we've got to burn this. It shifts into ketosis because there's no carbs, there's no protein to process. So it gets into ketosis really fast, reduces your insulin levels. It suppresses your appetite because fat is such a high satiety thing. Ketones are really amazing for your brain, so you've got that mental clarity on a fat fast day. It can restore fat adaptation. If you've been fat adapted for a while, you fall off for whatever reason, or maybe you've just been sick or high stress and things are not right, a fat fast day can restore that fat adaptation. It triggers FGF21. I never heard of that until a month ago, when all those sugar dieters were out there with their videos and their explanations as to why you could eat 100% sugar and get shredded. So then I watched Nick Norowitz. He did a video about the FGF21, and Sean Baker did his 3-day fat fast in answer to all those sugar fasters, and he showed, and so did Nick Norowitz. They have studies that show that it's the lack of protein that is the trigger here. That is what triggers the FGF21, which is, let me see, I want to read the FGF21 thing because I can never read, It's a metabolic hormone produced mainly by the liver. It is triggered by fasting, so you can do it that way, like complete fast, ketogenic diets, protein restriction, and prolonged calorie reduction. So there are a few things that trigger that metabolic hormone. It helps the body adapt to energy scarcity by enhancing fat burning and promoting ketone production. Who knew? So, that is a very good reason to try a fat fast or some of those other things, because it stimulates lipolysis, which is the fat breakdown, ketogenesis, which is the ketone production, helps your body switch from burning sugar to burning fat more efficiently. So that is a really good thing. And it's not, the sugar dieters were saying that it's, this 100% sugar. It's actually the lack of protein, which you can do with a fat fast. For those of you that cannot do all those high sugar carbs, because there's other issues with that. And it's not meant for long-term use. I know that people get really upset. Well, you can't just go around eating sticks of butter all day and all this stuff. And I agree with that. completely agree that the whole, stick of butter thing really got overblown. We're talking a day. We're talking a day to reset your metabolism. I mean, I did 1 day of 100% fat, and for days after, my ketones were high, my blood glucose was low, great GKI, great Dr. Boz ratio. To me, that is a fast, easy, and even enjoyable way to do a major metabolic reset. And so to do one of those once in a while, I feel no harm in it. And I feel great after doing it. And so, I intend to maybe incorporate it 1 day a week. And so I, just putting this out there so that people know why it works and what was the reason behind it. I'm going to link my Fat Fast videos, Sean Baker, the Nick Norowitz video where he did he talked about the studies about the FGF21, all those things, so you can watch them and decide for yourself if you want to try a Fat Fast. And I hope you enjoy my Fat Fast recipes that I put out there as well, or methods, or we can't really call them recipes, but you can call them ideas, meal ideas. So that is all I have to say about Fat Fasts, and I plan to keep doing them. And I hope you give it a try as well if you're stuck. So thank you.